and welcome back. This is your retired happy friend from Mississippi, and I'm Carolyn. So I'm so glad you joined me today. If this is your first time, I'm so glad you came because we talk about everything retired, what gives us happiness, fulfillment, joy, and this time in our life. So we have looked forward to this time for all our working years, so we have to make the most of it. So today in my kitchen, I'm going to be making bread, and I did have a request for bread. So this is a quick, easy bread recipe, and I hope everybody makes it. Thanksgiving's coming up 1 week, 2 weeks from now, so this will be a wonderful recipe to have fresh homemade rolls for your Thanksgiving dinner. And we don't have that many more visits before Thanksgiving, but I will be sharing with you different recipes that will be good, quick, easy, delicious to have at your Thanksgiving dinner. So if you're still making Thanksgiving dinner for your family and friends, let me know in the comments, and let me know if you're going to be visiting with friends and family or if everybody's coming to your house. And for many years I had everybody at my house, and my children were growing up, and as you know and you've read in the comments, we had 5 children. So when they got grown, then they started bringing their husbands and significant others, and then they started bringing their children. So our group grew and grew through the years, but now they're all married. Most of them have grown children and grandchildren, so now they're all off and scattered. But it is coming up, and we have so much to be thankful for. So today we're making the bread, and I'm going to take you along with me to the salon, the hair salon. I got my hair cut yesterday, so I'm going to take you along with me, and you can watch her. I did speed it up because I sat there for almost an hour while we were trimming and getting my hair styled, and that was too long a video. But I did condense it. I did speed it up, and you can watch how she trimmed my hair. I really, really like it. I think it looks great. And I'd let my hair go through a time of wanting long hair, and then I get it trimmed, and I get a lot of compliments after I get it trimmed, so I really should keep it short. But anyway, I had another recipe I was going to share with you today, and it's the navy bean, I guess you could call it soup, but I don't really call it soup, I just call it a dish, but it's navy beans, and I was going to put it on today, but today's visit ended up being so long with making the bread and getting my hair cut. So the navy bean dish will be Monday. And it has I start off with the dry navy beans. It has carrots, celery, onion, rotel tomatoes, the navy beans, ham, one of the ham steaks that I got at the store, and it's a complete meal. And then I put it over rice, and I'm going to use the bread that I'm making today. You'll see the recipe today. So the loaf of bread that I made, I cut it, and I'm going to make cheese toast to go with it. So it's a wonderful meal. I had it for dinner last night, and I can't wait to share it with you. So you'll like this. We've just gotten through a lot of cold weather. Today it will be back up to 75. So our little cold snap is over for the time being. But with it being the middle of November, we will have a lot more cold weather coming. So this will be a great recipe to have on hand for when you need it for those cold winter snowy days. So we are getting into Thanksgiving. As you see, I'm redecorating. Betty Bear will soon take off her fall outfit, and we'll be putting her Christmas outfit on. And I'll be getting some Christmas decorations here. I'll be swapping out my granny square there and start having more Christmas projects. On my Etsy shop, I'm taking down the fall note cards, the watercolor note cards. All of the fall quilted hearts are gone. They did sell. And tomorrow and Friday, I'm going to start making Christmas note cards. I also have a real neat little gift package, a gift bag that I make for Christmas. So I'll show you how to do that. It's quick, easy, simple. small amounts of fabric. So I'm looking forward to a change in our activities and getting ready for the holiday season. So since this is a long video, we're going to get started. I'm so thankful for this beautiful weather. It is absolutely gorgeous outside. Skies are blue. It's cool, but not hot. Low humidity. We just need some rain at our house. That's the only thing. Oh, and I heard on the news this morning that we are able to see the northern lights in Mississippi and Alabama, even down to the panhandle of Florida. I didn't know it, so I didn't go out and look for them, but I will tonight. They said we'll be able to see them tonight. So if you were one of the fortunate few who got to see the northern lights, please put it in the comments and let us know and share it with the rest of us. And I want to thank all of you for all of your comments that you made. And you let me know where you were watching from. You let me know what the weather's like in your area and which fall decoration you liked better. I think I got the most votes on the hay bales that had the sunflowers painted on the end. I think that was the favorite one that got the most comments. But I heard from all over what your weather is like, and I thank you so much for responding and sharing with everybody who reads all the comments. So that's my thankful for today. It's this beautiful fall transition weather and the northern lights that I hope I get to see tonight. God's creation is just so amazing when we take time to slow down and pay attention to it and watch what He's doing in the world. So today, the good word for today is James chapter 4, and I'm going to start in verse 13. Come now, you who say, tomorrow, today or tomorrow, you will go to such and such a city, spend a year there, buy and sell, and make a profit. Whereas you do not know what will happen tomorrow. For what is your life? It is even a vapor that appears for a little time and then vanishes away. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we will live and do this or that. So we have to think ahead and plan judiciously, but we can't take control and boast over what we're going to do tomorrow, but instead say, if the Lord wills, we're going to go to town or buy that property or buy that house or what our big plans are, because the Lord knows what's going on tomorrow much better than we do, and when we put it in His hands, it always works out better. So share your smile with everyone. Everyone needs it. Everyone's going through something. I have friends who sharing at church, and everybody has something going on in their life that they could use a prayer. And let me know in the comments if you like my haircut. I think it's cute. I like it. Well, it's a cold day here in Mississippi, so today is going to be my bread making day, and I'm making yeast rolls. So what I need is 2 packs of yeast, which I'm going to put in my mixing bowl. I have my stand mixer out, and I have my dough hook on my mixer, and I'm going to put 2 packs of yeast, 1/2 cup sugar, and 2 cups lukewarm water in my bowl and let that sit until it starts to bubble or bloom. Now I have everything in my bowl and I've stirred the sugar so it will dissolve, and I have the lukewarm water and the 2 packs of yeast. Now in making yeast rolls, and those of you who have not tried it recently, all of your ingredients need to be lukewarm. They don't need to be hot, don't need to be cold. So I have the lukewarm, and I tested it. It should be where you don't feel it on your skin, lukewarm. And the sugar is going to help give the yeast food so it can rise and bloom. Now, one thing important on your yeast, check your expiration date on your yeast and be sure it's not expired so it will rise when you get everything mixed up. So the expiration date on my yeast is August of 2026, so it's good. So it is going to sit here, it's going to bloom. I also have to have an egg, so I've already taken my egg out of the refrigerator and I set it in a cup of just lukewarm water so I can let my eggs start warming. Because if I put a cold egg, it's going to hamper the rising of the yeast. So we want some good, this is my mother's recipe, and she always made rolls very often. It was like biscuits. You either had biscuits, cornbread, or yeast rolls when I was growing up. We didn't buy a lot of bread. We made it at home. Now the yeast is bloomed, and you see the little bubbles on top of it. So that means it's good, active yeast, and it has bloomed. So now I'm going to set my bowl on my mixer stand with the bread hook. So now it's on the stand. I'm going to attach my bread hook. Now this is your bread hook attachment. And I'm sure all of you who are used to making bread know that, but I'm just going to start elementary and basic for somebody who wants to try it for the first time. But don't be afraid to try it. All you've got to lose is a little bit of yeast and a little bit of flour and a little bit of time, and a neat fun experiment. So this is 1 egg beaten. Going to go ahead and add that to the yeast. The 2 cups water, the 2 packages of yeast, 1/2 cup sugar, and now 1 egg. I'm going to put that in, and next is going to be 6 tablespoons of lard melted. And you don't want this real warm. You want this only lukewarm also. Everything has to be lukewarm. So this is lard. I have lard on hand. I don't use it very often, but I do have it on hand. And this is the lard. Now the lard is the fat from pork. Tallow is the fat from beef. And butter is the fat from milk. We also use in cooking the corn oil, the safflower oil, vegetable oil, which is a combination of the different oils. So this recipe calls for lard. Now I do want to put butter on the top of my rolls when I get ready to bake them. So let's go ahead and add the lard. And I'm going to turn the mixer on just on low and let that get mixed, and then it will be time to start adding the flour. Okay, now the recipe calls for 5½ cups of all-purpose flour. Now I just happen to have bread flour on hand right now, so I'm going to use the bread flour, and I also like to put half whole wheat in mine. So I'm going to go ahead and add the half whole wheat flour first. Now this is my whole wheat flour, and I just like to have some whole wheat flour in my bread. I don't like all whole wheat because it gets real heavy, so I like to use, this calls for 5½ cups, so I'm going to only put 2 cups whole wheat flour and the rest of it the all-purpose. So I'll go ahead and start adding this 1 cup at a time and mix it up. I don't want it to have too much flour at one time, or I'll have flour all over my kitchen. So now we'll put that back in. There is 1 cup. I'm going to go ahead and mix 1 more cup whole wheat. And the reason I do my whole wheat first is so I won't forget to put it in, and then the other reason is so I won't forget how much I put in, because I do forget if I go ahead and alternate it, and if I alternate the whole wheat and the all-purpose, sometimes I have forgotten how many cups I had of each one. So this way I know I have 2 cups already. And I'm going to go ahead and scrape down the sides of my bowl because it's beginning to kind of stick on the side of my bowl. Next, I'm going to start adding my all-purpose flour, and this is my bread flour. I got this a couple of months ago when I was making bread, and I want to go ahead and use this so it won't sit in my pantry too long and not be fresh. I like to use all fresh ingredients when I'm making my bread. And I'm not going to sift the flour, but I'm going to sift it up in the bag, just stir it up with my measuring cup. And I have 1 cup, so now this is 3 cups total of flour. So let's go ahead and add that. Now we have to add 1 teaspoon salt. So we have the salt, and I'm going to just use regular table salt. I'm not going to use sea salt or kosher salt on it. So 1 teaspoon salt. Now we have 3 cups. I'm going to add 1 more cup, and this will be a total of 4 cups of flour. Now it's time to scrape down the bottom of my bowl and get all the flour down in the dough. And let's go ahead and add 1 more cup. So that will be 5, and I only have 1 more half, so I'm going to add 1 more half cup while we're at it. My dough is all mixed up. It's gotten really stiff and it's pulled away from the sides of the bowl. So now I'm going to take the dough off of the hooks, get it all scraped off the hook, and get it ready to put onto my countertop. Now I'm through with the mixer, so I went ahead and put my mixer stand back in my storage closet and get it out of the way. So now I'm going to sprinkle flour on my countertop and get my surface floured and go ahead and take all the dough out of the bowl. Now some of the flour is not mixed up in the bowl, but that's okay. We're getting ready to take care of that right now. So all of the dough comes out of the bowl, and I'm going to put it back in this bowl for it to rise. I'm going to go ahead and get all the dough that is stuck on the side of the bowl out. Now before you start kneading your dough, be sure you get flour on your hands. That way the dough won't stick to your hands. But now we're going to knead the dough for about 5 minutes, and I just like to pull it from the back to the front, back to the front and push, and back to the front and push, and get it all mixed up. And this will develop the gluten in the flour and help the rolls to be tender and help them to rise. So push away, pull towards you, push away, pull towards you. This is a very good exercise, and it really is fun. It really helps to give you some workout, and you can stand here and work with your dough and solve all kinds of the world's problems while you're kneading your dough. So I had to get a little bit more flour on my surface because my dough was beginning to stick. Put a little bit more on my hands and continue to knead my dough for about 5 minutes. So you can just set your timer or look at your clock, and it doesn't have to be exact and precise, but just about 5 minutes. And you can tell when your dough is starting to be all mixed well. Okay, that has it. And I have worked all of the flour that I had on my countertop into my dough. So now I'm going to just roll my dough into a nice round ball. And I will put oil, regular cooking oil, on the inside of my bowl, get it well oiled, and then put my dough in. To put my oil in my bowl, I'm just using what I have, which is safflower oil, but you can use whichever cooking oil you happen to have in your pantry. That is not going to be a critical issue. So be sure the sides of your bowl are oiled so that the dough will rise and not stick to your bowl. Okay, now I'm going to put this smooth side down in the bowl and then take the dough and turn it over and let the oil side be up. And that's all there is to it. The sides are oiled, the top of the dough is oiled. Now I'm going to set this in a very warm place. You don't want it hot, but if you have them like on the back of your stove is where I put it. And I turn on the light over my cooktop, and then sometimes I also just turn on my oven on low, and I set my dough bowl on the back burner close to where my oven vent is and let that warm air. I also do cover it, so I'm going to get a dishcloth, dampen it, and cover the bowl with the damp dishcloth and let it sit. I'm going to watch it, and I'll probably will let it rise about 2 hours, but I'll watch it. I want it to double in size. So while it rises and does its thing, I'll go on and do something else. I have my dough bowl on the back of my stove, and I just turned on my over stove light, and I've got my oven heating to 200, and this is my vent. This is where the heat comes out from my oven, so I'm going to just cover it, let the dough sit there and rise, and I'll check on it occasionally and see how it's doing. The rolls have now been rising for 1 hour, so I'm going to take the cloth off, and you can see the dough has almost more than doubled in size. So I'm going to set the cloth aside and get some flour. We're going to flour the surface again and get ready to roll the dough out and make our rolls. So let's sprinkle flour over the countertop. And I want enough that I can roll them out. I want to coat my hands again. And before I do that, I'm going to go ahead, I have my parchment paper out, and I'm going to put it on my baking sheet. So, do you remember the trick on the parchment paper? It won't stay down. So we're just going to take it, crumple it up a little, and spread it back out. And that does the trick every single time. Now, it's going to lay down and behave while I get my rolls out. And I like to go ahead and crease the sides so that it won't be curling up. So let's do that. Okay, there we go. So now it's ready for my rolls. So I'm going to set that over on the side. Go ahead and take the roll. Isn't that beautiful dough? I mean, that has just done beautifully, and because the bowl was oiled, it just came right out. So let's go ahead and just roll it. Not a lot this time, just enough to kind of punch it down. And Maisie is at the door. I have to go open the door and let Maisie in. So now we'll knead the dough just enough to get it mixed up again. And then I'm going to start rolling, making out my rolls. Now I like to have, when I make my rolls, I like to have different size rolls. So some of them I will make a little bit larger so they'll be good for a hamburger bun. And some of them I like just to be smaller for a dinner roll. So the ones that I want for sandwich buns will be a little bit bigger. So I like to just take it, roll my ball, and I'm going to place them not too close, but not too far. So it says the recipe makes 24. So we will see how many rolls I get out of this roll dough. So some of them I'm going to make small, some of them I'm going to make larger. It looks like I may have more than 24 this time, so we will just keep rolling them out and see how it does. But this roll making is doing really well. I'm really pleased with it. And as you know, most anything at home that I do, since I'm not a professional career baker, it turns out a little different every time. Even if I follow the same exact recipe every time, it always turns out a little bit different. So, and the weather has a lot to do with it. Maisie and I just walked down to the mailbox, and it was so cold, we didn't stay out very long. Maisie came back and laid out in the sunshine by the sidewalk and got warm. So I decided to go ahead and make the rest of my dough into a loaf. So I have 18 rolls. Some of them are going to be sandwich buns, and then I have this loaf. So I had enough dough that I wanted a loaf. So I'm going to brush the tops of the bread with an egg. This is a beaten egg, a whole egg, the yolk and the white. I put a tablespoon of water in it. So now I'm going to just take the egg and brush it across the top of the bread. And this one is parchment paper too. So instead of getting out my loaf pan, I just decided to put parchment paper in the bottom of my cake pan and put my loaf on there. So that will work out just fine. Now after the rolls and the bread come out of the oven, then I will brush melted butter over the top of them. I'm going to set this back on the back of the stove where it was earlier and let all of it rise. Now the rest of this egg will not go to waste. I'll put that in the microwave and cook it, and that will go for Maisie's supper. Nothing gets wasted around our house if we can help it. Now I'm going to take a really sharp knife and cut across the top of my bread, and you will see this makes a really pretty design when the bread bakes. So when you're making your bread, if you want to, you have to have a really sharp knife. And I have learned to cut a little bit deeper into my bread. Okay. Now we'll see how that turns out. So I have the top cut, getting ready for Thanksgiving. So I'll put that right back on the back of my stove and put the pans. I have 18 rolls, dinner rolls. Put that on the back of my stove and let all of it rise for about 30 minutes to an hour. So we'll go do something else and come back and check it. Now while the bread is rising, it's time to clean up from the bread making, and that makes it a whole lot easier when I come back into the kitchen later on. I don't come back into a lot of dirty dishes. So it's time to wash, clean up, and leave the kitchen clean for the next time. And I use my dishwasher as my drying rack. I always like to wash my own dishes. I don't put them in the dishwasher, but I do put my dishes in the dishwasher to drain after I've washed them. And that's just something I've gotten in the habit of doing, and I like to feel them, know that all the grease is washed off of them, and know that they're clean, that there's no batter left on the side of the bowl. And this is a handy little brush that I keep in my sink. And it just helps me to scrub my sink and my dishes, get everything clean, and put it back up in the cabinet clean, ready for the next baking. Now the rolls have been rising for an hour, so aren't they beautiful? I have the oven preheating to 375, and I'm going to put the rolls and the loaf of bread in my oven, and they should bake for about 30 minutes. We'll put them in and check them in 30 minutes. And I'm going to set them in very carefully so they won't fall, because they have risen so beautifully. I don't want to lose my bread at this point. Okay, I'll come back and we'll check on it in 30 minutes. Now it has been 25 minutes and I came in and checked it, and I think they're done. And you should smell my house. Oh, it smells so good. Okay, so here is the loaf of bread. Isn't that beautiful? And just look at the rolls. Now, wouldn't you love to have those on your Thanksgiving table? So I very, very much suggest that you make these, try them once before Thanksgiving. And then Thanksgiving, you will have an idea on how they're going to turn out, and you'll have them ready. And in the meantime, your house will smell wonderful and your family will enjoy rolls. So now they're done. I'm going to take a stick of butter and go over the tops of the rolls and the loaf of bread. And I'm going to take the rolls off of the baking pan and set them over on the counter so they can cool, and the bottom of the rolls and the bread won't get soggy, because it will sweat a little on the bottom and have a little bit of condensation. So there you go. I sure hope you try these rolls. You saw how super easy and quick, and how quickly they rise and bake. So now let's go ahead and take them off the baking sheet. And I'm going to just tilt it up so that the bottom can cool. Oh, these smell divine. If only we had smell-o-vision. Okay, they are still too hot to break apart, but I have a couple of them broken apart. Let's see if you can see those. And I just cannot resist. I am going to try one and see. I know it's going to be wonderful, and this bread is so light and it is so soft. So I do hope you will try this soon. Oh my goodness, it's hot. Hot, hot, hot. Let's get some butter. Let's open it. Woo, look at the steam coming out. Oh my goodness. Doesn't that look good? And let's put a little pat of butter in there. Let the butter melt, and I'm going to have an afternoon snack with a cup of tea and try it out. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and turn all these over so the bottom won't get soggy. So there you go. Those are Thanksgiving rolls, just waiting for you to try. I hope you can see how light and fluffy these rolls are on the inside. Oh, these would be a wonderful addition to your dinner. And I am going to let them cool completely before I store them in a plastic bag. And I will put them in the plastic bag, seal them up. And then what I don't eat in the next day, I'll put in the freezer and go ahead and freeze them for later. But these are wonderful. Now, if you don't want to use the whole wheat flour, just use 5½ cups of all-purpose plain flour and leave the whole wheat off. But I like the whole wheat, so and I did already have it on hand. I didn't have to go to the grocery store and get it.